Starting in episode 206, the episode in which Toph joins Team Avatar, her blindness becomes a running gag. This would be mean-spirited in a lesser show. In the worst possible scenario, that would be her whole character. She would have no utility except as the butt of jokes. However, Avatar takes the time to shape her into a complicated and sympathetic person. She is blind, but her blindness is only one part of herself. She is never a liability to the group. In fact, her seismic sense, or what I only half-jokingly like to call Toph vision, allows her to see the world around her by sensing the vibrations of the earth. She is the perfect earthbending teacher for Aang because she learned earthbending not merely as a martial art, but as an extension of herself. It's how she interacts with the world. In that regard, she has a lot in common with badger moles from which she learned, and which are also blind. Because of her skills, Team Avatar often forgets Toph is blind, which leads to certain humorous scenarios in which she has to remind them. This is where much of the humor stemming from Toph's blindness comes from. The jokes are usually not at her expense, but at the expense of other characters, or just at the expense of the absurdity of the situation. Rather than stigmatize her for her blindness, these jokes do the exact opposite. They make it feel normal. It's not treated as anything more unusual than Aang's vegetarianism or Sokka's obsession with his boomerang. In these jokes, the warmth and compassion of the show are lucidly demonstrated. This is Avatar Explained, Toph's Blind Jokes edition. The humor of these jokes is amplified by who Toph is and how she has reacted to the restrictive circumstances of her childhood. For 12 years, the Beifong family hid their daughter from the world. They always talked about needing to protect her. Little did they know, or want to know, that she could fend for herself. By day, Toph was the perfect little demure daughter her parents wanted. By night, she was a champion earthbender known only as the Blind Bandit. These two sides of her identity were brought into contrast when she met and eventually rescued the Avatar. She spilled her soul out to her parents, who rejected her, so she joined Team Avatar. Because of her history, her desire to break as decisively as possible from the fragile little blind girl image foisted upon her by her parents is understandable and justifiable. The problem comes when she refuses to show any softness, any vulnerability. She wants to be thought of as the greatest earthbender in the world. She wants to be respected and even a little feared. She wants to be thought of as someone who can do anything. However, the blind jokes reveal how her front of invulnerability is not the most enlightened stance. Yes, she is extremely competent in many regards, but this doesn't mean she doesn't need any help. As episode 206 draws to its conclusion, Toph asks for the Earth Rumble belt back. It was hers, and Aang only received it because he launched her out of the ring with airbending. She could not see him because he was floating through the air, and her Toph vision only allows her to see everything on the ground. Sokka throws the belt to her, forgetting her blindness. Unable to sense the belt flying through the air, Toph is helpless, and it hits her in the head. Similar jokes occur later in the series. When Appa is stolen, and Team Avatar puts up flyers all around Ba Sing Se, Toph swears she doesn't need help putting up flyers, only to immediately place one upside down. She realizes her mistake when all becomes remarkably, eerily silent. A significant part of her character arc is slowly coming to realize the importance of seeking help from others. Iroh, consistently portrayed as the wisest character in the show, states this outright when the two converse in episode 208, The Chase. Toph initially believes Iroh is like her parents, another adult who says he wants to help her, but doesn't actually understand her. However, he convinces her that he does care about her, and that there is nothing wrong with accepting help from those who care about her. That one can both empathize with her suffering and want to help her is a foreign concept to her. Once she understands this, she rejoins Team Avatar and becomes very close to them, especially Katara. The members of Team Avatar view each other as family, and none of them need a family more than Toph. Katara is the supportive mother she has never had. She never again considers leaving Team Avatar after her conversation with Iroh, but she, for a while, retains her stubborn ultra-individualist streak. This is what leads to the debacle with the posters. She does not confront the reasons why she does not fully open herself up to Team Avatar for an entire season after she is introduced. But this does not mean she does not grow as a character. Comparing the Toph of The Chase to the Toph of The Crossroads of Destiny reveals that she has integrated herself well into Team Avatar and slowly learned what it means to work together with people one cares about as a cohesive unit. She becomes closer to the other members, especially Sokka, on whom she develops a slight one-sided crush. This is not to claim she becomes a completely different person. Her wry, mocking remarks remain as cutting as ever. As importantly, she takes pride in these remarks. They are her asserting her identity. Sokka takes pride in his humor too, so much so that he refers to it in episode 209, Bitter Work, as being one of the two most important facets of his identity, the other being his love of meat. But that's different. While Sokka also pretends to be someone he's not, i.e. an ultra-macho warrior, Sokka has never been forced to bury his affinity for quips, unless you count the terrible live-action film, wherein he is all the personality of a limp dishcloth. Toph is finally free, and she intends to use that freedom to unleash all the comedy she used to have to suppress unless she was in the Earth Rumble arena. And yes, many of these jokes have to do with her blindness. This is the other major reason why most of the blind jokes are warm-hearted instead of mean-spirited. Many of them come from Toph herself. In episode 210, The Library, Team Avatar is flying on Appa through the Si Wong Desert in search of Wan Shi Tong's mythical library. This is not a comfortable journey for Toph, who hates sand, and flying, and looking for books, which she can't read because she's blind. So she decides to prank them. She points to the horizon during a lull period and says, "Look, there it is!" She sounds thrilled. They look, and of course they see nothing. Toph cannot assist them in their search for the library. Her seismic vision only allows her to see the surface she is on. In this case, that means she can only see Appa, and not the desert, while she's flying. She might as well be surrounded by thick fog. When the others realize they have been tricked, they glare at her. She simply responds, "That's what it will sound like when one of you spots it." Toph responds similarly to an adverse situation 3 episodes later in episode 213, The Drill. The rest of Team Avatar plans to infiltrate Azula's drill to stop it from breaking through the walls of Ba Sing Se, but Toph does not join them, as her vision will be limited in there, and she will not be able to bend. 6 more episodes will pass before she develops the ability to metal bend. Combine this with the adverse situations she has faced in the last several episodes, like almost being eaten by a sea serpent and having Aang blame her for Appa's disappearance, and one can understand why she decides to take a shot at Sokka when they're trapped in a dark hole. He complains about how dark it is, to which Toph sarcastically responds, "Oh no! What a disaster!" Referring, of course, to how the world is always dark to her because of her blindness. However, as funny and cutting as many of these remarks are, they are no replacement for character development. If Toph was nothing but these jokes, her character would be thin and uninteresting. Nor would her interesting but uneventful integration into the group throughout Season 2 be sufficient were it not followed by the more substantial character development she receives in Season 3. After the chase, her fitting into the group is not a major plot point for the rest of Season 2. It's a sweet process one can easily identify if one is paying attention, but it's not enough. Season 3 is where Toph becomes a fully formed character. Almost all of this character development takes place in one episode, 307, The Runaway, but that is sufficient. Sokka and Katara both have episodes dedicated to them, those being episode 303, The Painted Lady, and episode 304, Sokka's Master, but neither of these episodes complicates or advances the characterization of the characters they profile. 303 proves that Katara is unfailingly moral and selfless, willing to help others even when doing so is unpractical, but we already knew this. Sokka's Master is little better in this regard, as the storyline of Sokka learning what being a great warrior means needed to be decisively resolved, but it still does not reveal anything about Sokka that the show has not already revealed, and it is built on a questionable and faulty premise. Namely, that Sokka is struck with great envy over not being a bender, even though the entire first part of the season leads up to the invasion plan Sokka himself invented. It's not earned narratively. However, episode 307, The Runaway, does fundamentally advance Toph's character arc. When Katara and Toph quarrel over the unnecessary risk posed by Toph's scams, Katara declares that Toph only acts as wild as she does as a reaction against her parents, and that she does not hate them as much as she claims she does. Both of these statements are true. While Toph initially argues against them, she confesses to Sokka that they struck her harder than she admitted. This confession is the emotional centerpiece of the episode. It grounds the quarrels that precede it and the third act action climax that succeeds it. Toph finally understands not only why she acts like she does, but the drawbacks of acting like that. Tying this back to the blind jokes is not difficult. When the members of Team Avatar forget she's blind, resulting in comedy, it is a reminder that despite what she claims, Toph does need help, and she does benefit from being in the company of Team Avatar. This doesn't mean she is the fragile little blind girl of her parents' fears and fantasies. For the most part, she can do everything the other members of Team Avatar can, and some things they can't. When Jet returns in episode 217, Lake Laogai, Toph reveals to the group that she has the power to discover whether someone is lying by reading their breathing with her seismic sense. This, combined with her stellar earthbending and her ability to metal bend, makes her the most physically talented character in Avatar. However, she does have blindness-related weaknesses. By the end of episode 307, after a full season of blind jokes, she finally acknowledges these weaknesses. She and Katara repair their relationship by the end of the episode, and Toph asks Katara to do something for her that she can't do by herself. Write a letter to her parents detailing where she is and what her life has been like since she left home. The flinty, callous Toph of episode 208 would never have made this request. She was too consumed by two delusions. The first being that she hates her parents, and the second being that no one will help her but herself. Episode 307 is the first episode in which she frees herself from the trauma her parents inflicted upon her. From this point forward, she is in control of her life. She is active, not reactive. No longer she trying desperately to prove her parents wrong. With the help of Team Avatar, she develops a greater and more nuanced understanding of the world. She understands that both extremes are wrong. While her parents were wrong in believing she couldn't do anything because of her blindness, she was wrong in thinking that it did not cause her any significant problems. From episode 206 onward, the blind jokes have elucidated the problems her blindness causes, but she has brushed away these problems because they did not fit with her conception of herself as an invincible master earthbender. Her prodigious skills have less to do with this image than Toph would admit. It is largely an image she created out of necessity. No one could know about the real her, so she made herself completely independent. But now that image is not needed anymore. She's not alone. Team Avatar is there to protect and guide her. They help her with the problems her blindness causes without stigmatizing her for it. To them, it's just another part of her. It's no stranger than her quips or her reluctance to clean herself. They accept all of her. This doesn't mean they're perfect. Zuko's refusal to go on a life-changing field trip with her, or even listen to her anxieties and concerns, always leaves a sour taste in my mouth. It's a re-emergence of the old, sullen, pre-redemption Zuko. Even more cuttingly, Katara makes a terribly cruel blind joke at Toph's expense in episode 208. Its venom is clear because of how it contrasts with how empathetic the other blind jokes in the series are. "The stars sure are beautiful tonight," she says. "It's a shame you can't see them, Toph." The wording is not necessarily more callous than some of Toph's darker jokes, but the context, delivery, and intent are different. Mockery is how she interacts with the world. Even in her crueler moments, she does not seek to break the psyches of her targets. Katara, however, wants every word to hurt, and her dramatic delivery confirms this. However, these moments are rare, and Toph understands this by the end of the series. She accepts that she needs help, and she accepts that Team Avatar will always be there for her. They won't betray her, and they won't treat her like she is incapable. Katara and Sokka have each other, and while Aang's entire culture has been obliterated, he has the past avatars to rely upon. Only Toph lacks support. She has never been close to anyone. The only creatures to which she has formed close relationships are badger moles. Even if her parents had not directly forced her to suppress her true self, the fact that they stopped her from having any friends, hiding her away from the rest of the world, would have prevented her from being able to interact with the other in a meaningful and positive way. It's a technique she needs to learn, it's one we all need to learn, and Team Avatar provides her with a safe and nurturing environment in which to learn it. She can't ignore forever how her blindness affects her. It's present in many of the blind jokes. These jokes do not exist to attack her, just to gently remind her that she is not perfect, and that she needs her friends to become the complete and happy person she is capable of being. So thank you for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can and you want to see more content like this. Keep watching Avatar. It is a fantastic show with so many intricacies and nuances. Thank you all again. Tune in soon for the next Avatar Explained video. It will be coming soon. I promise you that. Adios, comrades.